Hello again all, it's Cliff Dixon, UKIP candidate for Hayes and Harlington, but if you don't know that by now, you've obviously not been watching. I'm off to a hustings very shortly, so I thought I'd go through the opposition's manifestos and have a look at their leaflets, see what they've been putting out, so that I know what I'm letting myself in for. So, what have I found out? Well, this is the first one. This is the Green candidate leaflet. Actually, he's quite a nice guy, John Bowman. I met him on Sunday night. Very pleasant. Unfortunately, his party, some of the stuff they've got on their leaflet is a little bit crazy. The entire manifesto comes to about 25 pages and could have been written by a 5-year-old with crayons. But there are some reasonable bits on there. I agree with them on tackling air pollution, obviously. I've been fighting against the third runway long enough with and standing alongside, to be fair, members of the other parties to do so. The transport stuff, well, they're mirroring Labour return rail to private ownership. Yep, where you get the money from, guys. But there is some stuff on there about how Brexit is a disaster, we need a second referendum, and we're scapegoating migrants. Well, nobody's scapegoating migrants, guys. Come on, let's stop this playground stuff. What we're saying is, with regards to, or as far as UKIP are talking about, because we're not the politically correct people, what we're saying is that the numbers need to be controlled because it's driving down wages. Don't ask us, ask the RMT Union and the Bank of England. It's driving down wages and it's putting pressure on infrastructure, so nobody's scapegoating there. One thing I've never been able to work out with the Greens is how they can support uncontrolled mass migration. When you put more people on a piece of land, you lose more green space. That one's never quite added up to me. Then we've got the Lib Dems. Here we go. They've been spending a lot of money on some nice glossy literature. Their candidate is Bill Newton-Dunn. He's a former MEP who lost his seat in 2014. It's quite interesting, actually. I've seen a couple of his nice glossy leaflets, and on there he calls himself a local champion. Sorry, Bill, I think your compass is a little bit off, because we're in Hayes and Harlington and you live in Richmond in leafy Surrey. But then that might be down to all those air miles you did going to all those meetings in Brussels, where, as you say, you had a fantastic attendance record and you voted regularly. Well, as we already know about Brussels, it's a talking shop. The votes don't really count for much, but every day you turn up, €300 allowance. Nice. That's on top of your wages, by the way, so nice money when you can get it. So, Bill, there's your local leaflet, and that's going in a local bin. Then we have the Conservative candidate, who is classed as the main challenger. This is Greg Smith. Greg's actually quite a nice guy. He is actually from Hammersmith and apparently failed 2 selections before he ended up in the seat in Hayes and Harlington. Wanted a nice seat, didn't get one. Probably because he's a Brexiteer and Theresa May doesn't like those. Might get in the way of her getting her soft, watered down Brexit that she actually wants. So it's all the usual stuff on there. Greg Smith standing with Theresa May for Hayes and Harlington. Well, what's Theresa May got to do with it? She's never been to Hayes and Harlington. In fact, before this election, similar to the parachuted candidate in 2015, I very much doubt whether you have. Nice guy, Greg, but come on, don't give it the local stuff. You're a bit better than Mr. Newton-Dunn, I think. Anyway, another one for the bin. And finally, the incumbent, Mr. MacDonald. And as suspected, his leaflet is all about the NHS and housing. Well, the NHS, we all know, Tories aren't doing a great job of it, but Labour started the privatisation. It was Labour who introduced PFI into the system, so £50 billion worth of building comes back at £300 billion worth of tax payback to the big corporations they did the deal with. Could have got a better deal with Wonga. So you've got that. They also introduced the work capability assessment, gave it to the private company Atos, who have persecuted many disabled people, some of them to their graves. So I'll not take any lessons from the NHS from Mr. MacDonald. Mind you, some people do well out of it, including his Labour colleague, Dr. Anka Sahota. Dr. Sahota is the GLA Assembly member for Ealing and Hillingdon, who sits on the medical committee on the GLA, and billed the NHS over £1 million last year from his company Healthcare 360 for private services. Nice work if you can get it. The legislation Labour introduced allowed him to do just that. And then we talk about housing. Well, Labour are talking about 100,000 new houses a year. That doesn't keep up with the open door migration that we'll see under their stewardship, just as we did in the Blair years. And they also don't say how we're going to pay for it, and they also don't say who's going to build it. Maybe you should try and pinch some more UKIP policies, guys, like our policy on modular housing, keeping that which is fast, easy to put up, that isn't intensive on labour, using the brownfield sites. But once again, it's got all the usual stuff on there: social care, promising the earth. How's it going to be costed, John? Last time that you actually had a job that was to do with finance was in 1985 on the GLC Finance Committee, and you were so bad at it, even Ken Livingstone had to sack you when he took London to the brink of financial ruin. So these are the people that I will be facing. I've got to say, with the exception of John McDonnell, they all seem like really nice people. Look forward to a nice, open, honest debate. No smears. Let's debate the policies. Let's get to the nub of it. And I think quite a few more people will wake up to the fact that UKIP are the party talking common sense and vote for us here in Hayes and Harlington. Thanks very much.